Hello, my name is Dobek, and this is the 10th episode of Fear of Extinction Talk. In this episode, I would like to talk about ways how we can deal with fear of extinction. As I can remind you, the fear of extinction is identified by me as the some kind of root problem here and some kind of main obstacle to go forward. So in order to be able to act in a more adaptive way, we need to um, somehow remove this obstacle or make it not so difficult for us. And I would like to offer here a couple of ideas how to work uh, with this fear and what can help us. Uh, the problem why fear of extinction is so significant, why extinction is so scary. As I mentioned before on the previous episodes, uh, when we extinct, uh, our cultural products are useless because no one will be able to use them, read them, understand them. And these culture products are used by us to escape, to transgress our own body, and to deal with the fear of death. And of course, fear of death is one of the strongest fears. So, so if humankind would extinct and we knew, okay, it may happen soon, we may be afraid that whatever we are doing is pointless in some way. But of course, it's a false perspective. So we we need to work on it. But first, we have to deal somehow with these emotions. So I would like to talk today how we can deal with emotions first, because when we are activated, we don't have the space in our mind to think about this issue. So, the first idea, which is probably the most obvious and as is very similar to the way how people deal with um, thoughts about dying, is just talking about it and reading books about people who are about to die, or watching movies. Some people are about to die or dying in the process of dying, or there's a risk that someone may die, and seeing how people react there. And when we watch a movie, we are some way part of it, and we ask ourselves these questions. How would we feel in a situation like this? So we can get some type of training when we get involved in this type of stories. So for the extinction problem, uh, we made a little bit different movies, and we actually have plenty of them, and they are catastrophic movies. All these movies where human species or our existence on the planet is endangered, and characters try to deal with it and go through some different dramas. Of course, there are always some superheroes involved who will try to save the whole humankind. Uh, and usually, this movie is so close and so close, it almost never happens. Mm, but yeah, it's worth watching these movies and just thinking about it and having some discussions. Uh, why are we so afraid that we can extinct? What consequences it has for us, and and how would it change what we do today if we knew that the humankind will extinct, let's say, in 50 years? So how it would change our activity, or if you knew that, okay, maybe 50 years, nobody else will live 50 years, but let's say in 100 years, so almost no one from us watching this will live 100 years. So we are not afraid about us dying individually, but we may be afraid that some line of causes and consequences will end there, and how we would react to it, how would we feel with it, and how it would change what we do today. Generally, it's worth to pay more attention to our emotions, and taking care of our emotions is always healing. At Greenhausen Monastery, where I was a resident, we did a ceremony in which participants were invited to express their grief and other emotions related to the climate change. And it was a very powerful ceremony. People were very emotional, and it was very interesting to see this because mm, there were no other space where people could express this type of emotions. And it's more common to have intellectual debates about the climate crisis, but just simple expressing what I feel, what's hard for me to bear, and how I deal with, for example, with the knowledge that we humans are harming our planet so much. We are making to extinct so many species, other species. We are hurting our bodies by polluting air or water. So it can affect many emotions in people, and it's something that's good to be taken care of because if we let these emotions to um, work on their own in us, they will become a free agent that will take control over us and our actions, and we'll be acting out of the fear of these emotions, and it's maybe not always the best choice, or the results may not always be the best because everything that's related to different type of fears is ego related, and if we don't transgress our own ego, these actions out of ego mm, may not will not always be will always be actually somehow mm, ex- exploiting something, and it's also something that I believe is a cause of the situation that our egos and its needs were given too much allowance and too much importance in our culture, and um, and we just exploited the resources we have. So it's always good to take care of emotions. 2 years ago, I started a project of breath counting. We soon will have million breaths counted. The idea is very simple. So I decided to count 100 breaths every day, and I've been doing it for 2 years. And uh, every breath I take, I make my mind more peaceful, more quiet, and every person I interact later becomes affected by that. So the paradox is that sometimes we think that if we work on our own emotions, we are focused on ourselves, we are selfish, and we are not making change. No, we are making change, but it's way more subtle. But maybe we need more subtle changes than instrumental. That because uh, the subtle changes, it's not something we think that we are doing this. It's happening itself, and there's some kind of need in us that I want to help with climate crisis instead of just letting it take care of itself. I hope it's very visible this this shift of uh, acting agent. You know that uh, if we put I in the center, it we put more fuel to this um, chain of catastrophic reactions. It's very subtle. There are things very subtle I'm talking about. It's not very visible for most people, but if you meditate or if you contemplate a lot, uh, the subtle things will become more obvious for you. And so this breath counting is one of the ideas how we can help world not only with climate crisis but many other things. So I put on the web page the counter how many breaths I counted, and I invited some people to join me, and whoever wants can join me and count breaths with me, and the people report me how many breaths they took, and and I add the counter, the numbers to the counter, and soon, probably in a week or two, we'll have 1 million breaks counted. So it will be a big day for this project. But this is one of many ideas, and all type of activities that you can work with your emotions is very helpful here. And all type of meditation, or all type of relaxations, all type of prayers you can do, ceremonies. But if you have some aversion to spiritual practices, that's perfect fine, because there are practices which are not spiritual and they give the same result. Actually, it doesn't matter much if it's spiritual. It's only a classification of things. And there are things like knitting, for example, is a great meditation. Although people who do it don't think about it as meditation. Some do, but it works like a meditation, or jogging, or gardening. So there are many activities that can help quiet your mind down and become closer to your emotions and become more familiar with your emotions. And when you become familiar with your emotions, they dissolve in some way, but they stop being something that drives you, but you can more harmonize with them. You can more uh, sail using their energy, rather than being, drawn by them in the random directions. So it gives many benefits, not only for you, but for all people you interact with, because when you become more aware of your emotions, your interaction with other people will be more meaningful, and people will be more inspired by you, and they will act in the same way. So it kind of works like a virus. It spreads, but it's a good virus. It spreads good things. And maybe we had more resources like this on this planet. mm, the climate crisis could be solved, but I would say we would give enough fuel, we would give enough resources to the world as a whole thing, with nature and human beings around, to solve. Because when we stop acting out of our ego needs, we become whole with everything, and become more sensitive and more supportive for processes, lives, and other beings around. So, um, so just letting this ego to take a break is something that nourishes other beings around, and it's nothing we can do like a project wise. it's um, it's nothing that can be ordered by politicians. It has to happen from roots up. So yeah, I'd like to encourage you to do this practice. And please share your own thoughts about it. You can comment under this video, and I'm happy from any feedback. So let me know. And in the next episode, I'll be talking more about how we can trust Earth that can take care of itself.